Hello, everybody. Hello, Facebook family. Hello, IEP family. Hello, Instagram, Snapchat, Clubhouse, whoever you are, welcome. So, today's topic is 5 tips for beginning teachers. If you are a teacher, you've either lived that life or you're living that life. Or if you're a parent, this is actually good tips that you can actually internalize for yourself so that if you experience a new teacher, you'll be able to give grace or understand where they're coming from. So, we are going to specifically target new special ed teachers, not necessarily general ed teachers. Okay. So, tip number one for me would be to don't be afraid to reach out to other teachers. I know my first year as a teacher, I'll just keep it 100, I was one of 2 Black teachers in my school. So in my mind, I'm like, you know what? It's me, myself, and I, as Beyonce would say, that's all I got. So I was just very closed into myself. So I know there were a lot of resources out there for me, but I chose not to accept those because, I thought, hey, this is my first year. I should know better. I should know what to do. So I didn't really ask for advice. So, tip number one would be don't be afraid to reach out to other teachers. Number two would be as a special ed teacher, a lot of times we don't have a specific curriculum, right? So, what I feel like I should have done is I should have looked at the current curriculum and I should have taken different resources from that curriculum and used them to help best serve my students. Now that I'm year 5, I do that now. But back then I didn't. And I kind of feel like, maybe if I would have done that, my students would have been a little farther in whatever academic I was teaching in. So, tip number three is speak up when you see something, see if something's not right. If you see that one of your students is not being serviced the way you think they should be, it doesn't hurt to go to your principal and say, hey, Johnny has a behavior plan. And I kind of feel like, he's not getting as much grace or his services aren't being implemented the way I think they should be. Is there any way that, I could talk to you about maybe, switching up some things? Don't be afraid to do that. Tip number 4, ask if you have questions. Okay. Learning how to do an IEP is not easy. And so it is very important that you have a support system as a new teacher so that you can learn these things. Okay. One thing that is very important is when you're dealing with an IEP, you could possibly, be forced into litigation. You know, a parent might say something, somebody might say something out of the blue, and you could be in court. Okay, let's just keep it 100. Okay, so if that is the case, then you need to be talking to someone from your board office in advance. Hey, I'm a new teacher. I wrote this IEP. Can you check this, please? Okay, or if there's another special ed teacher in your building, hey, this is my first IEP. Would you mind looking at it? Or hey, would you mind coming to my IEP to make sure I said what I was supposed to say and I did what I was supposed to do? So it's very important. Do not stay closed in. Make sure that you reach out to your teacher community. And my last tip would be, not that it's a shady tip, but when it's your first year, sometimes other teachers will kind of treat you like you don't know what you're doing. And not that they'll try to throw shade, but that's neither here nor there. But you just have to make sure you're able to hold your own and do it in love. But if a teacher comes in your room and tries to tell you how to run things, it's not their classroom, baby girl. It's not your classroom. So God bless you. you know. But yeah, so that's something that I shouldn't say I experienced, because if anybody at my school's watching, I still love you, God bless. But that's just something that I kind of want to reiterate. If you're a new teacher, that is your classroom. Those are your techniques. If somebody has something to say to you, they should go to your principal. And period. That those are my 5 tips for new teachers.
Hello, I'm Joy, and I have 5 tips for a new teacher as well for special education. And my first tip is make sure that you take time for yourself. I felt myself struggling with that, and I was always trying to just do everything at once and do this, do that, and I didn't take time for myself, so you get burned out quick, like really super fast with special education. So make sure you take time for yourself. Relax. Tip number 2, do not be too hard on yourself. Like, you may not get it the first time, you may not get it the second time, and you definitely may not get it the third time. But just relax, take it day by day and just go over things and see what you may be missing or what's hard. And then also, this will go into my third tip, which is you need to find the best data sheets that work for you. So, and that could sometimes that's part of why things may be a little hard, is because you're not finding the correct data sheets that will work for you. And for me, I'm always searching for new ways to take data for my students and things like that, and to give to my assistants. So just find what works for you. And if the yes and no doesn't work for you, modify it. You can always modify things to work the best for you. And that's what I do. I modify all the time. My fourth tip is to listen to your mentor and reach out to your mentor for help, and also reach out to your team for help. I know at some schools you may not have a team, but I'm very happy and blessed to have a team that I can reach out to. And I have an amazing mentor with me for my first year in this county that I'm working in now. And I reach out to her all the time. Like, she's like, hey, you need a chat? You need, what do you need to know? What do you need to do? And sometimes we spend like hours just working on things together, or working on a reevaluation meeting that I have to get ready for and things like that. And it really helps, because it's hard when you just struggling by yourself and you don't know what to do. You just reach out and ask for help. It's okay. No one will look at you crazy. No one would think, oh, here she come. I mean, I just really appreciate the positivity that I'm getting in this school year. Like, y'all, it's just amazing. So reach out for help. Ask your mentor questions. It's okay. We don't want you to struggle. And then my fifth is to build those positive relationships with your students. That's the number one thing for me, really, is that I always work on building positive relationships with my students. And I also build it with my parents as well. Now, you don't want to get too close to your parents and things like that, but it will eventually happen once they leave. Your parents going to be like, oh, I need to tell you this and that. And that's okay. But build that positive relationship with your students, because at the end of the day, they rely on you. And if you don't have that positive relationship, then it makes things really bad in the classroom, behavior-wise as well. And I've seen it so many times where one of my assistants or another teacher come in, she was like, well, they don't listen to me and they don't do this. Well, are you listening to them? Because they're trying to tell you how they feel about something or whatever, and you're just, being mean or whatever. You have to, build that positivity with that student, that trust, that relationship, or everything is out the door. You won't be able to get them to do nothing. So, that's something that I believe as a new teacher that you should work on in the classroom and things like that. And I feel like, you'll ace a lot of things and you'll get it done. And always, if new teachers out there, special education teachers, reach out to us if you need help, tips, or anything. We're here for you. We love you and we got you.
Hi everyone, I'm Abigail Dunn. I actually teach out in Phoenix, Arizona. And this is my first year fully doing special education. So one of the things that I would go back and tell myself at the beginning of the year, or a new teacher coming in, would be like, you're a teacher too. So that means establish the environment in your classroom where desks are here, you set the rules, let the students and teachers know the resource room, special education room, whatever it's called in your environment, is not a place for students just to come and play and hang out. Like, it really is a place for them to be coming and learning, working on their goals or their foundation to get to where they're supposed to be. That means, yes, sometimes they can play games in class if they've earned that right, if that's the right that you've established or the rules that you've established in class. I've had to tell my little people more than once, yes, I said, sometimes we play games on Friday. If I tell you that we are not playing it this Friday, then we are not. And we may never play games again. And it's okay to get like that with them sometimes and set those boundaries. So, like, knowing that you're a teacher, you're an educator, it's not, oh, this is SPED, oh, this is general education. Everybody is there for that student. And so that's super important that everyone needs to know, especially as a new teacher, like building that confidence, knowing that you If you don't know what you're doing yet, you will get there. Someone will help you out. So with that, staying in contact with other teachers, they'll definitely help you out. I found I have a really great team at my school where I can go to people, ask questions, come in and support them where it's needed. And just having that give and take is really important. And also having some way to reach out to your admin when you need them, because they're in the meetings too. They need to know what's going on, and you have to know like kind of what their schedules are too. And with parents. So I know it's not always easy. I've gotten really lucky, I feel like. So I have some really great parents this year. And I'm so excited to be able to reach out and talk to parents because they know their children best. They know what they like, what they don't like, usually what type of learner they are, and they know what didn't work for them the previous year. So coming in as a new teacher this year, I reach out to every parent and ask them, like, is there anything that you really didn't like last year? Most of them weren't really able to tell me right off, but just letting them know that line of communication was open so that if they had something to share, they could do it and they were safe to do it. I think that really helped. The third thing, when you're writing IEPs, they're usually in what I call, this may not be the correct name, like an IEP management system. So we use like IEP Pro at my school. Getting to know that really well is important so that you're not struggling when you're writing your IEPs. You know exactly where everything goes. You know how you're going to be collecting data, where to put it, and different things that make it send alarms to you, like kind of know when your dates are. So the thing isn't like dinging at you. Make sure you get in there and check it often. Don't, leave it for months because things will pile up and you don't want that to happen. The fourth one, having a great support system. So don't just have a support system because anybody can be there saying they're supporting you and they may just be there to hear you gossip or whatever. Have a really nice, solid support system. It can be other teachers, whomever else, people you can vent to, get advice from. I have a really great coach at my school who, like, whenever I reach out to her, she may not be able to get back to me that day or set up a meeting that day, but sometime she'll be able to. And I always leave with some really good information. And the last thing, which is probably the most important, is getting rest. That's what works for me. Making sure, I feel like, that you work within your contracted hours. Like, don't be getting up at 6 a.m., writing your IEPs and stuff like that. Like, make sure you're getting your rest, make sure you're eating well and just doing well for yourself. Because as a teacher, you're teaching the children how to advocate for themselves too. And if this is something you're regularly doing, they see you doing this, they'll kind of know, hey, I see my teacher regularly, walks through the neighborhood after school or, drinks water every day. That's something they may start doing too. So those are mine.
Hello, everyone. So, 5 tips for beginning SPED Teachers 101. The first thing I would suggest would be to read the child's cumulative folder that's on your caseload. This will not only help you learn the child, but it will also help you create your caseload binder, which is something that I feel that teachers should update yearly because at my school every year we get different students. So depending on how your principal has the school set up, you may have worked with second grade one year and the following year you might be in middle school. So if you have that cumulative folder and you get an opportunity to just look through it, it will allow you to learn about the children's social history, their social and emotional. All those things are key. Second is give your child a student and interest attitude survey. I do this every year with my students, even if I know them, because children change, as we know. But this allows me to find out what books they like. I use a program with my students called Epic, where I can assign them books based off of their interests. Students love filling out the interest surveys because I also use this throughout the course of the year to plan like Secret Santas, if we do Valentine things, the different things that you might want to incorporate for the social skill aspect of your students. Number 3 would be practice classroom routines every single day for all transitions. I don't care how long you've known the child. It is very important that you practice those classroom routines. It will help you prepare and create that classroom management. So when your principal comes in to give you your evaluation, whether it be informal or formal, you will have your class under control. It's very difficult for SPED teachers because a lot of the times we have students with varying disabilities. And when that happens, you might have one child that, you know, they're quiet, they may not talk, but then you might have another child that just cannot sit still. So if you're practicing those classroom transitions and, you know, practicing those routines, it will keep everything good. Number 4 would be use differentiation in each small group lesson. So all your lessons should have accommodations and modifications that are incorporated throughout your lesson plans. That is key. If you're not using differentiation, then you are not being an effective SPED teacher. I'm going to say that again. If you are not using differentiation, you're not being an effective SPED teacher. It is very important. That is what differentiates us between being a general ed teacher to a SPED teacher, is that we're incorporating that differentiation in every small group that you are using. And lastly, I would suggest just make sure that your learning environment is always safe, it's fun, and it's interactive for all your learners. And those are some of my tips that I have. Thank you.
Hello, guys. All right. So I want to thank all 4 ladies right now, because all 4 of you guys took my tips. So that means those are some true tips, okay? The building the rapport with your parents and your students, that is a must. That is a must, especially if you're a first year teacher, because I feel like the parents will have, you know, that be a little bit, they won't be so much, I need this, I need that, and why didn't you do this? If you go ahead and let them know, like, look, this is my first year, I'm gonna do everything I can with your child. Let me know what works for you, what don't work for you, what worked last year. Like Abby said, what worked, you know, what did work, what didn't work. You know, building that right there lets them know that, oh, she coming in on a whole nother leaf. She trying to be different. So anyway, that wasn't one of my tips, but I did want to put that out there. And one of my tips for sure was to utilize the resources that we're given. So if you have Google Docs, Google Forms, please use it. You can use those to build the data building forms. So like if you want to send some information to the general ed teachers, which is so hard to get, you know, when you're trying to see, you know, what little Billy is doing in class. And then Susie Q, the gen ed math teacher, is like, I don't got time for this. But if you go ahead and send that form and let her know, like, look, I'm going to send over a form. My form is going to have 10 or so questions. If anybody needs that form, please hit us up at I Expect Progress, because we have that form. And it's going to ask the teacher, it's going to say, what does he do when he's in the class? What does he do when you tell him to engage during virtual learning? Does he turn his work in on time? Does his work looks like it's a reflection of what he knows? You know, is he prepared? How does he sit when he comes to class physically? Virtually, does he ever turn his camera on? Stuff like that is really good to be able to put on your IEP. Also, get a big planner for everything. I have a big monthly planner, and I put my personal life in it as well as my work life on things that I need to do, because you want to be able to make your timeline and your deadlines. You do not want to go over those points where you're supposed to have something in and you don't have anything in. Also, get a good babysitter. Make sure you guys have a very good babysitter. I'm recording. It's not live. I'm gonna have to cut this part right here out, y'all. Why y'all ain't tell me, hey, she can cut this part out? Y'all ain't tell me that. Why ain't nobody tell me that? Wait a minute. I'm struggling, y'all. I'm struggling like a mug. Okay, wait a minute, honey. Hold on. Ain't nobody say, hey, you know we just recording, right? You could cut that part out, right? Ain't none of y'all tell me that. Where is my support with y'all? Where is my support?
This is real life. Like, who out here, you know, like babies.
But boy, take this
too.
Take her in the room. Look, play with her. Close the door. Let her cry for a little bit. Here,
This is teacher's life in a COVID setting, y'all. This is how our lives are.
Got it?
So we have to do it. So parents, just know that we have our struggles and things going on as well. While we're teaching your kids, we're going through a lot too at home, because we have our babies and things at home, pets and everything. So
Right. I was gonna say last week it was me with the pet. So
Y'all, that was real. She waited until I unmuted and started talking and was like, oh, no, you ain't. Can y'all still hear her right now?
My dog do the same thing when I started teaching. That's when she want to start doing her little thing, and I just have to go to another room.
That's why I got to send her to daycare because I can't do it. My kids be like this. Oh, I'm like, y'all just don't want to pay attention anyway. No, I know. She going off. Okay, here we go. I'm probably gonna take out my whole part, y'all. Where was I at? Okay. Hello, guys. So tonight I will be giving you my 5 tips. Tip number 1, utilize a pacing guide. If you are a new teacher in your district, go to your district's website. If you have a caseload for just 6th grade or just 5th grade, or if you have 8 through 12, go to that district's website. If that child has goals in math or reading, print out that pacing guide. That will help give you like a timeline of when you need to complete things, because the teachers are supposed to also follow that timeline. So if the beginning of the year, the first thing they're doing in math is mixed numbers, you already see that from your pacing guide. Sometimes your pacing guides or the district websites will give you resources on that pacing guide, and it will be able to let you click on it, utilize that resource. And if you can't have access to it, contact the board, and they should be able to give you access so that you could use that with your students and also to build up your library of resources. So using the district's website to find a pacing guide or a curriculum layout or standards, it depends, because like in North Carolina, it was more like Common Core standards. And now up here, it's more like SOLs. So it just depends on what state you're in. So you're going to find the standards for your caseload. And like I said, you're going to go ahead and look at their goals. Number 1, numero uno, when you get your caseload, that should have been my first tip. When you get your caseload, go ahead and make you a spreadsheet for each child, a spreadsheet for all their goals that they have. And it's going to be big. Okay. And if you don't do a spreadsheet, you could do a Google slide. That's going to get a little in depth. That's something I'll talk about on another evening, but use Google Slide, use Word, use the spreadsheets, all of these resources that we have, use them so that you can become organized. So you're going to use your pacing guide, number 1, to be able to align what you're teaching with what the teacher should be teaching. Number 2, utilize your resources that your school gives you. So if you have a Gmail account, you have Google Slide, you have Google Docs, it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to get Google certified. So that's number 2. Use your Google Docs and everything to be able to get yourself organized. I use Google Slides to put each child's information on each slide every year. I have their name, what their goals are, if it's math and reading, if it's just behavior, if it's just study and executive functioning skills. I separate it all out. Then once I get that together, I bring it all together. Once I get each student done, I bring it all together and I group them together. So even if they're not in the same block, it's still the same assignment, the same task. Everybody gonna get it. So I'm not recreating a wheel. My next step is to utilize your phone alarm. Don't be embarrassed when you have 25 alarms going off. Don't be embarrassed. Just do it. Do you, boo? Because that's going to keep you organized. That's going to keep you on time, and that's going to keep you efficient. The worst thing you can be is a special ed teacher and don't be on time. Why? Because that's one of the things that we always say. Time is important. Dealing with autistic kids, time is key. Don't have James sitting at that desk and he know he's supposed to be walking out that door for lunch and it's 2 minutes over. Oh, that's it. It's a meltdown. It's over. You done got a critical, as they would say at my old job. That's bad. That's bad news. So be on time. Utilize your alarms. Try to be one step ahead of the game. Also, you want to walk in confidence. When you walk into that school, even if it's your first year or your 5th year or your 12th year, I'm going to walk up in that school like I know everything, baby. Ain't nobody going to know I'm struggling. Why? Because I got my support system in my background. Now, I'm going to walk like I got confidence. I'm going to talk like I got confidence. I'm even going to act like I'm busy if it's something I don't know about. I might act like I'm busy and say, let me get back to you. I have to run here and check something real quick. I'm doing an IEP. But honey, I'm going on Google. I'm going on my Facebook support group. Shout out to our support group that brought us together. Utilize everything you can. Facebook groups are the best support groups to have in the world. Why? Because they're not there with you. They're not saying, look at her walking around like she know everything. She just posted the other day, blah, 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 blah. That would hurt your feelings, wouldn't it? You'd be like, Lord, I can't even handle confidence because I just asked her this and she going to think I don't know anything. What am I going to do? Go to Facebook, get you a support group, utilize that search tab in that support group. So if you don't feel comfortable asking this question, hit the search button on that support tab and search the topic you're looking for. I did that a lot last year. That helped me a lot. So I think that was 4. And last but not least, I ran out of tips. Did I say 5? You think I said 5?
No, you didn't get to 5 yet.
I think I had one more, right?
Yep.
I done went blank.
I thought I had 2 in 1 though.
Yeah, that's true.
It was like a 2 in 1, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut that off at the end. And number 5, do not be afraid to come to I Expect Progress and get the support that you need because we are here for you. We thank you for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. We are coming at you live and raw. We're going to let the lovely Miss Charity let you know what you have to look forward to tomorrow night.
So guys, my mind went blank, but tomorrow we're going to be talking about the different types of special education and I guess the different resource. I forgot what was that. Cut. What is it called? Say it again.
The different settings.
Settings. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. I'm ready. So guys, tomorrow we're going to talk about the different types of special education settings that your child or a child that you're going to have in your classroom will be in. So we have self-contained, we have resource, and we have co-teaching. And so you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Does anyone have anything they want to say? Okay. Now we're just going to wave bye. Let me cut this part out. Hold on. Okay, now y'all just wave bye and smile and everything until you hear it. Okay, now let me find it.